Remember the picture that I showed you of my cottage in Ireland and had all the rocky cliffs? Remember what that looked like? The tall cliffs with the rocks? That's rugged. That's rugged. Very, very rocky. And the coastline is uneven. Whereas a beach is straight, low. That would not be rugged. A beach would not be a rugged coastline. A beach would be a beach. In Ireland, I live on a rugged coastline. And the southern coast of Jamaica is a rugged coastline. Rugged means real rough. Where majestic mountains. What is majestic?
Majestic is bigger, very big. Majesty the king and the queen, very big.
When we refer to royalty, we refer to the king or the queen or the prince or the princess as his or her majesty,
Yes.
meaning they're very high in their position. So if we refer to a mountain as majestic, we're referring to the mountain as being very tall in comparison to other hills and mountains, very larger and more prominent.
Teacher, in this sentence, majestic means the top.
What?
In this sentence, majestic means the top of the mountain.
Well, no. When we say majestic mountains, we're referring to mountains that are bigger than most mountains.
It's huge.
Yeah. And then majestic, the word majestic mountains, and this is another way in which the same word can mean different things depending upon how it's used in the paragraph, the context. Majestic mountains plunge into the sea. What does it mean for a mountain to plunge into the sea? What does that mean? Does that mean the mountains fall down into the sea?
Yeah.
Well, literally it would, but not actually. Let me show you. Okay. We're getting all set up? Okay. Excellent. Yeah. Very good. Now, I'm not a very good artist, so you'll have to use your imagination, okay? These would be mountains, okay? Majestic mountains. And this is the coastline, okay? Now, when we say the mountains plunge into the sea, we don't mean that the mountains fall down into the sea. What we mean is that there's a very sharp the plunge. In other words, to go from the top of the mountain to the sea, you would drop down very suddenly. If the mountains these mountains do not plunge into the sea. The mountains go gradually down into the sea. You see the difference? Plunge means that the mountains drop down very quickly. If the mountains slope, these mountains slope into the sea. These mountains plunge into the sea. Slope means very gradual. Plunge means suddenly. Okay? Okay, Susie, your turn.
Which is popular with
Right here with tourists.
มองไม่เห็นอะ
ไปถ่ายใหม่
ไม่เอาจากตรงไหนอะ
มาฉากมาไปอันใหม่ดึงฉากมาเลยเธอไม่อันนี้แสงมันเข้าตาดึงฉากมาหน่อยแสงมันเข้าก็พี่ไปดึงฉากมาหน่อยดึงฉากมาหน่อย
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me pull this down. So we start here. Okay. Now, Susie, can you read the first sentence for us right here?
Tourists who like to explore this be fascinated and amazed. Then they venture inland.
Okay, very good, very good. Some new words. Tourists who like to explore, remember we talked about explore yesterday? Tourists who like to explore will be fascinated. What is fascinated? You are amazed. It's wonderful. It's a new experience. You're not bored, you know. So what? No. Okay, we'll be fascinated and amazed. Now, in English, sometimes when you want to emphasize a point, when you want to make a point very, very certain, you know, that the other person understands it, you can say the same thing twice but use a different word. So when we say that you will be fascinated and amazed, it means that you will really be fascinated and you will really be amazed. See, by putting the two words together, it sort of doubles the meaning. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Really.
Yeah. When we say fascinated and amazed, it just means that the writer wants to emphasize that point. They will be fascinated and amazed when they venture inland. What does it mean to venture inland? Venture inland. If you are going to venture inland, you know what inland means, you know, to go from the coast to the interior of the island. So if you venture inland, what are you doing? What does venture mean?
Never been before.
Huh?
Never been before.
To go?
Yeah.
Yeah. It just means to go. Now, one of the lessons that we can learn from this sentence is how we can use the rest of the sentence to guess the meaning of a word we don't know. You see how tourists who like to explore, you know what that means, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Tourists who like to explore will be fascinated and amazed when they venture inland. Now, you didn't know the meaning of the word venture, but by knowing the meaning of the rest of the sentence, you could guess at what venture meant. And that's why it's very important when you're reading in English to comprehend the whole sentence. And if you can comprehend the whole sentence, then you can start to figure out some of the words that you didn't know. We call that using context. Let's finish this paragraph. We'll finish this paragraph and then take a break, okay? So, Toy, would you read the next sentence for us?
The center of the island is mostly mountainous and wooded, with small mini towns and villages dot here and there.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. The center of the island, remember that, island, say island. Island. Uh-huh. Oh. What happened there?
Okay.
That's applause.
It's your key.
Okay. The center of the island is mostly mountainous. Any problems so far? Do we understand where we are okay? And wooded, with small